Good evening, I'm Giuseppe Basile. I'm the analyst trader you can find at the website www.fibstalker.com. I also post regularly on Twitter using the @fibstalker nickname. Good evening. Today is Monday, March the 3rd, 2014, and it's 20 past 11 p.m. time in Toronto. In this video, I'm going to review for you the daily, it's a daily review of the three Japanese yen majors: the US dollar versus Japanese yen, the euro versus Japanese yen, and the pound versus Japanese yen. Let's start from the US dollar versus Japanese yen, and what you see on the screen is the daily chart of this pair. And if you followed me in the last few days, you know that there's a very good trade in this market, and actually this trade actually worked and brought price into first target, as you can see here. So this trade could actually be at this level, 102.18 could actually be timed using 15 minutes failure, and I'm going to show you the sequence of measure move in the 15 minutes and how you could actually trade this this market. I gave the actual trade for this market in one of my previous videos, so congratulations to those who took the trade. And this was the level 102.18 here, and if we explode, we can actually see the counter trend measure move going into this level of resistance, and in fact I actually provide this sequence a few days ago, and 101.76 was the level of support which brought price on the 15 minutes time frame into 102.08, and then the second target right and close to those highs, well within this level of resistance as we were anticipating. And as soon as market broke below this level, the 102.09 here, we could enter short with a stop above highs, and this trade could also be timed by waiting, but that's not something that always happens. Sometimes the market just continues lower and moves very quickly, but in this case it could also be traded with a front run from highs to lows. So wait for the market to retrace into this 102.13, and actually it traces to 102.12, so one tick less, one pip less here, and then the market eventually moved lower. So this was a very good reward to risk trade, and that's the kind of trade I'm looking for. From highs to highs here, the entry would have been 102.09 with a stop above 102.29, so 20 pips here, and actually this could we could go down into 101.25. So this is a good it's a 75 plus 85, so it was a 4 reward to risk if we were using the breakdown here. So it was quite a very good trade that actually materialized in few hours. So moving to the euros versus Japanese yen, we cannot say the same for this market, because this market actually gapped up on Sunday night, as we can see this move higher. However, if we look at the daily of this this pair, we know that the market went again into that resistance, the highs to lows 140.97. so once there, unfortunately it was not possible to time it during the next day because we got this gap down. So let's go and see what happened on the 4-hour chart here, which is this chart that I'm showing you here. So we got this move higher, and then we actually saw the start of this of the move lower, and then we got the gap down. So the possibility to trade this market could only be verified on the short side, could only be verified on the 15 minutes. So I'm going to show you the 15 minutes and see what was the sequence of measured move bringing price into that level. And the measured move, if you remember well, the sequence of measured move was actually this one. I already have identified the sequence of measured move on in a previous video, and as we see here, when we trace highs to highs at the end of Friday, we just ended on support. So there was no way we could actually trade this market at the end of the Friday, at the end of the week, trade this market long. So there was no way we could actually anticipate the gap down, and this market just continued moving lower. So at the moment we need to wait and see when we can actually pick up, when we'll be able to actually pick up the market again. For sure, if the market retraces again and into an high probability configuration, low risk configuration, then we might actually try to trade, for example, this short here. And for this, we would need to see in the 15 minutes the sequence of measured move failed, and around or at or above 140.12, but below 140.35, and actually trade this move lower. So this could be a trade that we might get actually tomorrow. So it's very important to study in this market the sequence of measured move, but we still don't have a lot there. So on the 15 minutes we need to keep in mind this trace, and actually if possible we are going to study this measured move. The market still didn't retrace significantly here, so the next level could actually be, considering the current levels, could actually be, like the current tag could actually be 139.40. So we might see this market moving in extension higher, in which case then we'll need to study this market during the market hours tomorrow. 140.12, it's an important level to watch. Moving to the pound versus Japanese yen, I want to start again from the daily here, and here the situation is slightly different because after the market actually had this surge here, we got a failure of the 61 level, which is a confirmation of long normally. Most recently we got participation on the upside at this important level. This is an extension. Sorry, I have to trace this from the high of the second day here, and this is not something we could anticipate, something that again we identified after the fact. There's no way I would be able to trade this, but once we see participation at this level, then we are able to identify what program trading is using. So at the moment program trading is using this high to highs, and that there is support here. On the 20-40 minutes chart, again, like we did for all the other market, at some point, I mean, now I proposed this trade offered a free risk trade, so there was no risk in this trade, although it hit eventually the highs, because we always get half of the position out at T0. T0 is where the risk equals, sorry, where the gain is equals the initial risk. And at the moment, we actually have identified a level of support. So we have two levels of support to watch in this market. The first one we identified it already. It was from these highs to highs, and this level came into play. 168.99, 169 came to play on the 27th, and as you can see here is getting participation again. So there are two levels we have to watch in this market, very important levels, and we need to be careful and study the 15 minutes and see what happens in the vicinity of these two when market gets very close to these two levels. The first one we've been all the way back. Notice that we have participation on the upside here, so this makes this level very risky. And similarly, we have another level. It is a risky level as well, so you have to be very careful here, and that's the 170 level. So we need to study the sequence of measure move on the 15 minutes as market approaches these two levels, 170 and 170.34. And if we move to the 15 minutes, we are now seeing this surge, and we're seeing a sequence of measure move here. So one level to consider is definitely the as I showed you before on the 40 minutes, these highs to lows, this is an important level. And if we look at what the market is doing at the moment, we can make the case that this trading, it has traded this first traditional 169.04 and is now trading into the first target, is now trading in the second target. So this market looks like it start moving in extensions, and as soon as it gets to 169.53, we can trace from highs to highs and see where price gets us. If we get a failure around 170, and I want to go back to the 240 minutes here. If we get a failure around one of these two levels, 170, 170.34, that would be a potential short. It's a risky short because we retested this level that already offered support here. So be very careful in this market. You don't have to trade. If we get a failure in the 15 minutes, use a very small risk, and as usual, take half off and create a risk-free trade from this market. So I hope this video was useful. I wish you a very good trading day tomorrow, and there are some opportunities here. Look at those and trace always the sequence of measured moves in the 15 minutes, quite important. And let's see where this market brings us. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a great trading day. Bye bye now.